Alright, here we go. We're going to see if this is working here. Let me know if you guys can hear me or not. I am having some very strange technical difficulties. I don't know exactly what's going on with my damn program. So let me know if you can hear me. Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me? Let me know. Can you hear me? Alright, good. Good. Not getting any display on my audio mixer, which is upsetting to say the least. But anyway, here we are. We are live. We are streaming. I think we're alive. Welcome to Readings with Rebecca. Loud and clear. That's good news. I've got literally no feedback on my wee little display, which is, once again, quite wonderful. But it's the way of the world, right, Chief? We're going to have to get into it pretty quick today. It is a slamming day. I'm very sorry that we do not have as much time as we're normally going to get. We have about an hour. We have about 40 minutes, 50 minutes. So we're going to try to use it as effectively as possible. Things continue to go well. I'm still up here, as you can tell, in Seattle. I'm having a great time up here. Just finished cleaning the house. I have some exciting news. Starfall should be done next week. And then I'll be going back through and revamping an earlier manuscript, Electronic Souls, in the Farthest Star universe before moving on to my next writing project. And that will either be Angels, hey, of our yesterday, or the next book in the Farthest Star series. Or potentially the next book in the Nightmare Gods universe. I'm not sure. But I am always working on something. It is really good to be here with you guys today. Really good to be here this week. I'm feeling flustered after the technical glitches. Like, you guys stink. Not you guys, but my software. Sometimes it can be very frustrating to work with. So how you doing, everyone? I see Damon out there. Oh, yes. Damon, will you be at the gaming stream tomorrow? Hair Raising Games. Are you going to be there tomorrow? The reason why I ask is Damon had a birthday last week. And we need to sing happy birthday, but I want to make sure that we get as many people as possible in to sing happy birthday to Nega. Not Nega, Damon. Guys, I'm sorry, I feel flustered. It's like, alright, move, we're on time, we're going to be like just like a minute late. And technical difficulties, and oh my goodness, have I mentioned I have a rampaging anxiety disorder? Because I have a rampaging anxiety disorder. Hey Damon, if you're going to be at the gaming stream tomorrow, let me know. If you're not, we will sing you happy birthday today. Well, I will sing and I'll let everyone else chat. Grind away, Nega Mewtwo. How is Pokemon Sword? I know that You were very excited. Oh my goodness, Brit Luck is here? Oh, well, hello, Brit. Brit is the power behind my editor partner, Cat Luck. Their better half. Better half because relationships are supposed to be about equality and all that. But yeah, Brit, it's always wonderful to have you here, Brit. And all right, so tomorrow, Damon, we will sing Happy Birthday to you. I am flustered, Brit. I am, so I am like all over the place. My background this week is an open source background done by someone in the LGBT community in honor of Pride. They are galactic backgrounds taken from what I believe are NASA Hubble captures and used to create various flags. I am trying to incorporate them for the remaining of Pride. I will do my best to put a link in the description of this video once it posts. This one is, of course, the transgender Pride flag. As a member of the LGBT community, and most specifically the transgender community, I thought I would kick off my first stream with these banners with the transgender stellar flag, as it were. I think it's just beautiful. I really do. I like it. They are very clever. They are non-binary, so that is why I will continue to use they, because that is their preference. And it is always good to respect pronouns and respect identity, which is a big part of what the Farthest Star universe is about. Not necessarily gender identity, although it is there as a meta concept, but the identity to be yourself. The option, the freedom, and the support to be yourself. So, since we've got about 45 minutes to read, we're going to get at least a chapter down, then we'll do a little bit more talking, and then we'll see if we want to keep going. Let's get into it, shall we? I will stop the nervous rambles, and we will get back on the bounce. Here we go. Chapter 16. Exile's Return. Residual data acquired from alternate data center. Flagged as relevant. Error checksum 15A8FB42. C. Stevens. House Earth. Adapting. I stepped out of the hot shower after my run and took a deep breath, enjoying that relaxed euphoria that always accompanied a good workout. I draped the towel over my shoulders and stretched out my arms, feeling my joints pop a bit as the stretch realigned my muscles with my skeleton. I plopped down in my chair, nice and relaxed after my run, and then wanted to make sure there were no fires to put out before bed. There was a blinking message on my tablet. As it checked my security code and displayed, I felt myself suddenly tense, all the relaxation of the previous hours gone. The message simply read, "You are go at 0400 hours." I took a deep breath. Tonight was the night. I would access the black box. Tonight I would finally get some answers. I opened up my closet and took out the fresh maintenance uniform and ran my hand over the slippery plastic, then grabbed it at the seam and ripped it open. It is sergeant's rank sewn into the collar and a fake name, J. Daniels, sewn above the zippered chest pocket. With this, I would be one of the faceless, nameless ones, one among a slew of maintenance workers, doing what they could to keep the ship in top shape in the dark of the night. I slid it on and zipped it up, scratching at a spot near my left shoulder. They always put too much starch in the new uniforms, and this one had been quietly requisitioned days ago. A lot of people wondered how the military was able to pull off black operations, but it really was a case of the right hand not knowing what the left was doing. All thanks to the glory of paperwork. Mankind, ever pushing forward, ever seeking efficiency, had always tried to slay that elusive beast. But all of our technology, all of our advancements, had only seen bureaucracy evolve with it. What was once clumsy and ineffective was now an efficient morass. Guided molasses, smart blowback, and with every 99 stroke 5 form and its 4 angry cousins, it just produced more useless data, more lovely snow. I might have hated paperwork, but at the end of the day it was symbiotic. Clerks, we called them snowblowers, in their own anal retentive way, made my job possible. Thank God for the paper pushers. I remembered my training officer telling me once, without them, the world might see us for what we really are. I chuckled at the thought of him as I slid my tools into my pouch and checked my zippers. Then I settled in for a quick nap. I had been ordered to be well rested, and that was one order I was happy to obey. I set my alarm and reclined in my chair. The beeping woke me up with a start. It was 03:35. I stretched and worked out the kinks in my muscles, stiff after too little sleep and a good run. Checked over my gear and looked over myself in the mirror. Reminded myself I was a sergeant and laughed at the thought. We had ships that moved near the speed of light and leaped across segments of the galaxy, but we still hadn't fathomed how to work out the Charlie Foxtrot rank structure inherent in the United Earth Forces. The Rome was mostly deserted at this hour. The night shift was reserved for the unlucky, the essential, and the new. I made my way quickly through the corridor, pulling my hat down low and doing my best to be unassuming. Nothing to see here, just a lowly engineering tech on a nightly run, I thought to myself, and made it without incident to the elevator. The lift door opened and I began to make my way to the corridor. Just a few more meters and I would be safely ensconced within the walls of the Rome's data core, away from prying eyes and ready to do my work. It was finally time to get some answers. "Excuse me! Yes, excuse me! You, Sergeant! Over here!" I heard a voice call out. Damn. I turned to see a young security officer, ranked lieutenant, second class. Remembering I was now an enlisted man and not a commander, I snapped a quick salute. "Yes, sir," I said, with enthusiasm harkening back to boot. "I haven't seen you on shift before. Are you new?" he asked, with just a hint of suspicion. My blood ran a little cold. If he called in to check my credentials, I was hosed. I had to think fast. "No, sir. Just a temporary transplant from days. Diagnostics came up with some unusual readings on a power distribution node in the sector," I explained. "The chief engineer wanted me to check it all out personally. She's still a new ship after all. Got to work out all the bugs." "So you're an expert in power systems," he pressed me. "Built a career out of it," I answered with false pride in my voice, thinking back on my first assignment. "Started out on the Mako. Let me tell you, that old rust bucket was coming apart at the seams. Had the old Gen 1 transformers with the bad voltage regulation. I swear we were always blowing out terminals. I've been on the receiving end of one of those terminals, and while I had been unscathed, the experience had been memorable, to say the least." "Heh, nothing like the Rome, am I right?" he softened, eagerly taking in every last ounce of my bullshit. She has her ways, Lieutenant." I glanced down the hall away from my destination. "If you would excuse me, sir, I don't want someone to catch me jawing and have the chief engineer come down on my ass." "Oh, absolutely. Carry on, Sergeant," he instructed. I saluted, and he left me to my work. Taking a deep breath, I felt the burden of the mission suddenly lighten, satisfied with my luck. Arriving at the maintenance tunnel, I scanned my card, and it slid open without a hitch. I was in. I stood at the juncture and looked at the directional indicators over my head. Fat bundles of cord wound together, moving like slithering snakes down long, seemingly unending corridor. Odors of warm electronics and oil permeated the air. This was the real Rome, her arteries, her veins and nerves all making up one cohesive, almost living thing. Patting the tunnel that would lead me to my prize, I smiled and crawled in. There were no grates here in these new Wanderer-class ships. Instead of having the old metal grate floors, they were now a new smooth alloy. On paper, they provided better EM shielding, but they also necessitated the retrofitting of every maintenance uniform in the fleet. You no longer needed pads to protect you from the grating. Now you needed something that could catch on the new material, to provide you with traction, so you could crawl down the corridors. My knees had just enough grip, and as I made my way down, deeper into the bowels of the ship, I idly wondered what Minister of Parliament was able to score that sweet deal for his district. The corridor ended, and I checked my map on my datapad. I was still about 10 decks too high, but the ladder was just ahead. Sliding down it, I saw the first confirmations I had navigated right. Up ahead was a door that read, "Authorized personnel only. Command level authentication required." Feeling a shiver go through my spine and down my limbs, making me suddenly feel weak, I glanced down at my access card. This was make or break. Unlike my conversation with that young, fresh-faced lieutenant, there would be no excuse to justify my presence down here. If I was caught, if something went wrong, there would be no more investigation. No answers. Taking a deep breath to calm myself, I took out my tools and connected them to the wires just below the datapad, hoping the eggheads back on Earth were right about all of this. It uploaded my algorithm into the system, and a series of numbers began to flash across my screen. Suddenly the numbers stopped. In violent red letters that almost made my heart stop, it read, "Access granted." "Well, we made it this far," I said, to no one in particular. Up ahead was the data core and the EDRS, or Emergency Data Recollection System. Error. Data corrupted. Chapter 17. We're just going to keep moving. Resuming from primary log. S. Dawkins. So, Charlie is a little bit more than he seems. There is some more revelations about exactly who Charlie was in Rise, and Further and Farthest Star, which is yet to be released. And yeah, he's smooth as glass. But he's made a living out of being smooth as glass. Chapter 17. Resuming from primary log. S. Dawkins. I woke up stiff but happy. After the previous... Why would they make the access granted in red letters? Because a lot of engineers have sarcastic senses of humor. I know this because I know many engineers. And it's also just funny. Exactly. Gotta get their jolly somehow, right? No, it's very interesting, and there's going to be some language here, but within the Linux code, the base code for the kernel originally created by Linus Torvalds, as I understand it, now I haven't seen this directly, but as I understand it by legend, the use of fuck is used so much in the Linux kernel, apparently it's like every other comment line. Do this fucking thing, do that fucking thing. This fucking thing does this. Over and over and over again, because engineers, software developers, anybody that works in the mechanical or technical craft generally has a job that is esoteric. People do not understand it. The hours are long, the pressure is high, and this not only attracts a certain type of people, but encourages the development of certain character traits that lend themselves to sarcasm. That's my theory, at least. Chapter 17. Resuming from primary log. S. Dawkins. I woke up stiff but happy. After the previous evening's run, I had spent close to an hour in the shower and then the fur dryer. I shifted contentedly with my sheet over me, the warmth and smell of my bed and the easy contentment I experienced within it making me loathe even the thought of movement. Twitched a hind paw and pulled at the pillows, stretching my body, giving a displeased grunt. I didn't want to wake up. My eyes were still closed. I was not surrendering to full consciousness without a fight, and muttered out, "Good morning, Charlie." At first there was no answer. I opened my eyes and sat up in the bed, looking around, seeing Bradley sitting in the chair across the room, casually reading his tablet. "He isn't here. He left a few hours ago," Bradley replied quickly, then smiled. "Good morning." "Morning," I mumbled grumpily. It was the first time since the attack I'd woken up and Charlie had not been there. What was going on? I tried to put it out of my mind, but creeping worry was still there. I ordered breakfast for Bradley. He always astonished me with the size of his appetite, and I think he shocked the steward too, as he set down enough food in front of him to feed a man twice his size. He ate in silence, devouring his food with such relish that I worried about the survival of the mess plate as I nibbled on the alfalfa grass and apples I was eating. Suddenly I heard the code being tapped into my keypad outside. Charlie barged in with a vicious but happy smile on his face. He was breathless and smelled of work and anger. My ears instinctively perked as I spoke. "What's up, Charlie? What's wrong?" My ears swiveled towards him. Something was definitely going on. He looked at me curiously, still with that vicious smile on his face. My eyes met him, and a quiet but demanding feeling flashed through my mind. Predator. I backed up instinctively, but remembered to keep myself under control. "I think I found them, Snow. I think I found the bastards," he said, relishing his words. My ears went down nervously, and I felt a tightness in my throat. How had he been able to find them when ship security hadn't? What did he stumble upon? "The Admiral and the Captain of the Rome are waiting in the briefing room. I am to take you there." I quickly hopped forward and made my way for the door, with Bradley following close behind. I skittered after Charlie down the hall. I hadn't seen him like this. He was almost in a run. Quickly I dodged around boots that were not used to a snowshoe hair being on board, doing my best to not be stepped on. Ears up, dodging left and then right. I didn't see him stop suddenly in front of a nondescript door as I bumped into him. "Easy, killer," he said merrily. "Get your breath, smooth down your fur. They're waiting just inside." I did exactly that, not because I necessarily needed a grooming, but because it relaxed me some, and right now I had butterflies dancing atop my recently devoured breakfast. Taking a deep breath, I gave a nod, and we entered. Charlie and Bradley both saluted the Admiral first, then the Captain. Being an ambassador, I ignored my military rank and gave a slight bow. The Captain and Admiral returned it, and I scrambled up into one of the chairs, sitting crouched down on my hind paws. "Thank you for coming, Snow. How are you feeling?" the Admiral asked, his face bright and cheery despite the seriousness of the meeting. "I'm doing much better, sir. Still a little sore here and there, but I've about recovered." "Good to hear. I trust Commander Stevens hasn't been giving you too much trouble?" "No, sir. In fact, he's been a great help. He and Bradley both. Between the two of them, I may just pull this off." The Admiral laughed and gave a slight nod to them while the ship's captain sat in silence. "Admiral, forgive me, but Charlie told me you may have found out who did this to me." Yes, he did. You see, while you've been convalescing, Charlie's been hunting down your attackers, mainly through our computer systems. As you are no doubt aware, we have clearance-controlled access to sensitive parts of the ship. Now, that means that whoever got the nightsticks out should have left 2 log entries, one on the door and one on the storage locker. Those files aren't supposed to be deletable, but somehow they were. I don't understand it myself, but it's supposed to be near foolproof. The only problem is we couldn't find traces of who did it. "So how then did you figure it out?" I asked, looking between the Admiral and Charlie, who still looked like a cat who had swallowed a canary. "If the files are suddenly gone, then how is there any trace of my attackers?" Well, that's the question we asked as well. Those records are a safeguard against theft and espionage. We had to find the log or tell our friends at the think tank that their new system was complete garbage. Bradley, why don't you explain this part? I'm afraid it's a bit beyond me. Thank you. Well, with this kind of file system and this kind of safeguard, if it's deleted, there's always the ship's black box. It's designed to override itself every 15 days. In the event the ship is destroyed or found abandoned, UEA Command can pull the system and get a snapshot of the last 2 weeks running on the ship. Bradley looked down nervously, turning red at having to speak in front of people. Oh, I see. So, how do you access this black box? I asked, chasing the mystery. In short, you don't, he explained. We had to get special access orders and pull instructions from Central Command. It wasn't easy, and doing it outside of the ship's command structure was even harder. That's where Charlie and Admiral Dickens came in. They had the contacts Earthside to help us get the clearance. I saw the captain's knuckles go wide as he gripped his armrests. You should have informed me of this. I have every right to know what's going on my ship. Well, sir, with all due respect, we couldn't. This was a hit on an ambassador that clearly had command involvement. No one could be above suspicion, Charlie replied, matter-of-factly. So you were able to access the black box, then? I asked. Took a deep breath. The tension in the room was palpable as the screen to my right flickered to life. Barely. We accessed the log this morning. It's day 14 since the attack. It frankly took this long to make sure our ducks were in a row and we could get access. This is the log here, Charlie said, as it glowed into life on the screen. He scrolled down through pages and pages of esoteric numbers until finally, in the middle of the log, was the information we sought. I heard the captain of the Rome shift in his seat uncomfortably before his eyes went wide as the computer translated the access codes, staring in disbelief at the code signature on both. Undaunted, Charlie summarized. According to this, the stick locker was accessed at 0252 on the night of her beating for the purpose of quelling a riot on Deck 6, Section A5, the location of her quarters. This use was authorized by the Chief of Security, Major Newman. The captain started out of his seat. Are you sure of this, Commander Stevens? You had better be. I have served with that man for 15 years. You do not just accuse my head of security on his own ship. His face was a strange mix of emotions ranging from shock to anger, and he visibly seethed as he struggled to maintain composure. Sir, I'm afraid there can be no doubt. It's not possible to counterfeit a genetic signature, and those were recorded, as is protocol. It has to be him, sir. He had to at least know of these attacks, Bradley stated nervously. No one asked you, Ensign! I saw Bradley flinch as the captain swore under his breath. Then, calmly, regaining his composure, he tapped his communicator and summoned the major and the security detail to the briefing room. As Newman entered, the captain ordered the 2 officers to place him under guard. They took their place at the entrance to the briefing room and waited for their orders. What is the meaning of this? Major Newman looked to his men, shocked and angry. I demand an explanation. Charlie spoke first, the look in his eyes a blend of anger and relief. We found your log entries, Major. Clever to delete them like you did. But we do have the black box, he said, tauntingly. You can't pull the black. He stopped himself, obviously caught off guard. I have no idea what you're speaking about. It has to be a fake, he corrected himself, looking suddenly exhausted and worn. We have your genetic algorithm on the file, buddy, Charlie retorted, looking very in control of the situation despite being the second most junior officer in the room. That can't be faked. It's right there in black and white, so now you have a choice. You can keep quiet. We'll send you up the river. After all, attempted murder of a diplomat is a very serious crime. Or we can testify as your court-martial that you cooperated. And maybe, just maybe, we can work something out. The Major looked grave, as if he was carefully considering his options. He knew. He had to know that no matter what happened now, his career was over. Not because of the attack on me, I thought cynically, but because of my rank and my importance. Violence against Morphics was surprisingly common, even tolerated in some quarters, but this could not be allowed to stand. This time, there had to be justice. He looked at me, his eyes full of hate. I could almost feel the heat of his gaze, his hand shaking. I could smell it rising off of him like a cancer. He growled as he spoke. "I have nothing to say." I saw him loosen the sleeves on his shirt as he took a deep breath, trying to regain his composure. "I have served in the UEA for over 15 years, and your allegations are simply that. Allegations. You forget that I'm an investigator. I know how interrogations work, Commander. You think you've got me dead to rights? Then just show me your proof." Undaunted, Charlie punched a keypad and the orders came on screen to access the box of the ship, as well as the findings. Saw Newman go white as he saw the proof he had demanded laid bare before him, next to the order that made his doom possible. "Oh, clever. That was very clever. You realize I don't have any other choice now," he said, as an icy chill spread over the room. Charlie began to move towards him, and the Major shut up and moved back into a corner, almost tripping over Bradley. In his hand was a tiny silver device. A detonator. He looked over at the security detail. "Gentlemen, leave. Now." The security detail looked at the captain, who nodded, and then they left. "Now, Major, we've served together a long time. Just put the detonator down. Do you really want to kill all of us? Is it really worth all this?" the captain of the Rome asked, with real fear on his face. "You know that it is. Now, back off! Don't try to talk me out of this, Bob. We go back too far." He was panting and sweating profusely, a trapped and dangerous animal. "Now, no one has to die but me and that fucking Morphic. Leave," he screamed. Charlie spoke up, his tone having moved from accusatory to calm and reasonable. "Come on. You know we can't do that, but right now you have all the power. Let's just talk about it. Surely we can work this out. The bitch wasn't supposed to live in the first place. They were supposed to keep going till there was paste, not till she stopped moving." "Major, that would have only made it worse on you. Regardless, we would have found you, but nothing says it has to end badly. Just put down the detonator," Charlie repeated. "It was supposed to be clean, covered the tracks. I hid the surveillance vid too, but you haven't found those yet, I see. A pity. It was a beautiful thing to watch her bones crack." He was ranting, delusional. Flecks of foam were flying from his mouth. "It's people like you that have made us weak. You've polluted our race. You leave us vulnerable to our enemies. At least your death would have had some meaning." He turned his gaze away from Charlie to glare at me. "They brought this abomination on us. You bitch, you stupid little whore. I am going to be the one that kills you." I saw his thumb start to move for the detonator, and out of nowhere, Bradley dove down on top of him, wrenching at his hand, striking him hard in the face and staggering him. Charlie jumped over the table, and all three wrestled, scrambling for control of the detonator. They bumped up against a door leading to a small room. Charlie slapped the pad, and the door opened as Bradley and the Major tumbled free. The next moments moved slowly. I saw Newman begin to lower his thumb on the device, and Charlie had a strange, sad look on his face. Suddenly understood what that meant, and screamed for Bradley to get the hell out of there as the doors came down, just as the detonator went off. The reinforced walls of the Rome warped and distorted as Charlie slammed into me, shielding my body from the debris as the walls collapsed. I forced my way out from under Charlie and dashed towards the hole where the wall had been. "Charlie, Bradley, he was in there. We have to get him out. He needs our help. Snow, snap out of it. I'm sorry, but he's gone, Charlie said, sounding desperate and guilty. There was nothing else I could have done. No, it's not supposed to be that way, I cried hysterically. He has to be in there somewhere. Charlie, come on. You've got to help me. He grabbed me and held on, restraining me. I'm sorry, Snow. You have to focus. He's gone. Snow, snap out of it. I'm sorry. I looked down and saw my paws tinged red with blood, not all of it mine. And the horror slammed through me anew. I felt my stomach twist and I retched. Grief suddenly consumed me. No, it can't be real. He can't be gone. I turned and snarled at Charlie. You son of a bitch, why? Why did you have to do that? Not him, not both of them. God damn it. I fell to the ground numb with the shock of what I had just seen. Dully, I felt Charlie try to hold me again, but I struggled against him. I know, Snow, I know. God forgive me, there was nothing else I could do. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Charlie's voice trembled in agony over the choice he had just made. I began to become aware of emergency personnel around me. Someone draped a blanket over my back, but I just sat there cold and shaking, trying to cope with the shock, grief, and anger. He would have made a good mouse, Charlie, but he was also a great friend. He deserved better. He deserved a chance of what I have, I said, mournful and aching over the loss of my friend. He died a hero, Snow, another voice reminded me. If he hadn't stopped Newman at that moment, none of us would be here right now. He didn't just save you. He saved 4 lives a day, at the cost of his own. I looked up at the Admiral. I just want to go home. I collapsed into a heap, too weary to care any more. The Admiral turned and looked at the Rome's captain. Sir, this happened under your watch, with your man. You were relieved of duty under United Earth Force Justice Code 9653 Alpha until an inquiry could acquit you of any wrongdoing. Security, take him under guard to his quarters. As of right now, I am in command. 2 security officers who had responded to the singing simply nodded and escorted the captain out. He sneered at the Admiral as he passed and said, This isn't over, McHenry. You aren't the only one with friends. Get him out of here, was all the Admiral said. And there we go. 2 chapters. Heck of a place to leave it for this week, huh? Exile's Return was my first work. And it's very interesting as I go through it. There are things that I wish I could have done better. You know, hindsight is always 20/20. But also, there are some things I think I really got right. And I think I really set a tone for the subsequent stories. The thing is, the thing that I was really trying to show with those chapters was the levels that people will go to, the extremes that otherwise rational people will reach for when they are completely lost to hatred and fear. Because the Major wasn't just blinded by hatred, he was also afraid. Pollute our race, corrupted ourselves. He was afraid of what humanity was becoming because a portion of humanity was defecting. There's a group of people that didn't want to live the way that people had always lived, that didn't want to be the way that people had always been. and that terrified him. He was so committed to his perceptions of order that it twisted and destroyed his ability to be flexible and adapt. And it led him to extreme and terrible places, ultimately to his end, and the end of a very good and very heroic soul that never thought that there was anything heroic within him. But that's the thing about courage, isn't it? It's not about who you are in a normal moment. It's about who you choose to be in an extraordinary one. And the thing is, yeah, this is a fiction, of course. This is a story, but it applies very much today, to now. Hatred is always the easy answer. And it's almost always, actually is always, the wrong answer. Understanding, analysis, radical acceptance, that takes work. So I think it's very prescient that we're here at this point in the story during these times of societal upheaval and unrest. Because we all need to be reminded sometimes that we are not immune to hate. We are not immune to bias. We are not immune to making bad choices. No one is. And more to the pity. But also, by knowing this, by confronting this, by accepting this, we find ways that we can overcome this. We must always be on guard against the casual, easy hatreds, for if we do not remain on guard against them, they will poison our soul. And you guys thought that you were going to get out of here without a rent today. In that vein, and with all that being said, it is my hope that these current protests will change things. Because all life is sacred. All life is sacred. I hope that we can have beneficial discussions and reforge our police and our justice system into something that's cooperative and not combative. That is a part of the solution, not a part of oppression. There are good people out there. There are noble souls out there. And you will find them everywhere, from protest lines to police departments, to even within the halls of power. It is too easy to be black and white, to look at things as a straight up dichotomy, as a battle, as a struggle between good and evil, when in reality our life and all life exists within a gray. And to be too firmly rooted in any one dichotomy puts you on the same road Major Newman was on. The hardest thing to do is to look past your own hurt, your own biases, and even and your own way of viewing the world, and meeting people as individuals. Resist. Resist hatred and overcome. So yeah, guys, kind of heavy today. But I think also important. Fred Rogers has often been quoted in times of disaster and trouble, and one of my favorite quotes from Mr. Rogers, because I think most of us grew up with him, was, "When things are bad, look for the ones who are helping. You will always find them." And seriously, think about it. 9/11. Terrorist incident, right? Worst one in United States history. There were scores of firefighters and first responders that ran towards the rubble instead of away. The mass shootings, there are always people that are running towards the carnage, not away from it, for no other reason but to help. For every story of heroism, there are 100 stories of heroes that are unsung. As easy as it is to focus on the bad, amidst the worst bad that we will ever experience, there is always people that are shining the light of the good and the just and the hopeful. And so then you have a choice about what you want to focus on. The ones that cause the damage or the ones that are trying to heal it. So alright guys. Thank you for putting up with me and my interminable ranting. Thank you for being here to listen to me read my life's work to you. I am grateful for every last one of you. I am grateful for your words. I am grateful for your analysis. I am grateful for your uniqueness in the world because it enriches and expands the breadth and depth of my life and my horizons. And that is not anything but sincere. Take care of yourselves out there. Remember to love one another. Remember to look for the good in the darkest of nights, because as the tagline goes for Angels of Our Yesterday, one of the books I'll be working on quite soon in the Farthest Star universe, hope never dies. I love you guys. Thank you for standing with me. So, somebody throw a frickin' pie. It's getting too serious in here. Be excellent to each other. Party on, dudes. Well, please join us tomorrow for hair-raising games. Should be around 12 or 12:30. 12:30 is working better for me recently with the later schedule I've been keeping. Please let me know if that's a problem, or if there is another time that will serve you better. Just kick me a message on Patreon, drop me a line in the Discord, email me, send up an airplane with a ribbon message over Seattle. Whatever you really need to do, I am accessible, and I'm always willing to work and adjust my times, because I want to make sure that as many people get here as possible, and that everybody gets to kind of take in on the fun and my rants and everything else. Alright. So tomorrow at 12:30 Pacific Standard Time, we have hair-raising games. We will sing to Damon Herrera, that is celebrating another successful revolution around the sun. Congratulations, Damon. I am glad you are here and glad that you are part of all of these things. And until then, until tomorrow, and until next time on Readings with Rebecca, I say to all of you, onward towards the farthest star. We'll see you out there.